a good solid method that you can rely on when you want to change the colour of a specific area. In this lecture, we'll change the colour of a shirt. We already did that in a previous video, but as I said in that video, those two methods aren't the ones professionals prefer because they don't give you enough flexibility. Well, here's the new image I'm going to work on, and this technique is going to be non-destructive. Feel free to use some of your own images to try it out. Just make sure they have a decent-sized photo. If you're working on a 400 by 300 pixel canvas, your job is going to be much more difficult. The first step is to make a selection, and that's vital because we can see how this shirt is almost matching his jeans. So we can't use any tool that targets a specific colour, in this case blue, and blast away. I only want to target his shirt, so we need to isolate it. Not a problem, I'll grab my quick selection tool and I'll increase my brush size to about 175. I can quickly grab most of it, and when you're zoomed out, everything looks better. As we move closer in, you can see there are some problems with his watch. There are also a few issues with this collar. Lastly, his fingers here prevented my tool from going all the way in. I'll shrink my brush considerably and I'll start adding in these areas. Remember, by default, the quick selection tool adds to the selection without the need for additional keys. The left side is fixed pretty quickly. All you have to do is give Photoshop a bit of time to process the changes. On the right side, we'll have to be extra careful because this area is considerably darker, so Photoshop will be tempted to select the jeans as well. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what it did. No worries, hold down Alt and start painting away. The more you go over an area with Alt, the better job Photoshop will do. That's because you're telling it, hey, I don't need these types of pixels in my selection, and Photoshop understands. While we're at it, let's exclude the watch as well. Okay, I'll zoom out with Ctrl-0. I'll leave the collar alone as well as any potential areas that didn't receive enough attention because we'll next use an adjustment layer. Go and enable Hue and Saturation. Notice the mask. As you can see, because we had an active selection, the layer masks immediately understood I want to work on that area specifically. So it created a mask that contains only this shirt. If we Control-click it, you'll see our selection yet again. Use Control-D because we don't want that. Now for the actual colour change, it's as easy as pie. Enable the Colorize option, and now simply move the hue value just about anywhere. Some colours might look a bit too bright, so my advice is you turn down the saturation for a more realistic look. Either that or the lightness value. Here, I think I'll go with a washed out red colour for my shirt. The hue value is 360, the saturation is 50, and for the lightness, let's use a negative value of about -20. Now you can toggle the before and after and see how the new shirt looks. I'm pretty happy, except his collar isn't perfect. We can still see that former blue. In general, I always recommend you start with a great selection, but in case your skills aren't fantastic, at least you can rely on your brushing. Click on the mask's thumbnail and start painting. Use white in this case. It goes without saying that you should adjust your brush size and hardness. Zoom in close and handle all those problem areas. In essence, it depends on how rigorous you are. For practice purposes, sure, you could potentially leave imperfections here and there, but my advice is spend an extra couple of minutes and do it right. Sometimes I don't feature that in my recording because I want to keep moving forward and teaching you new things, but I highly encourage you to manage your pace and take your time with these tricky areas. Okay, this is my go-to method when I want to replace colours. Create a good selection, then use an adjustment layer. It's flexible, non-destructive, and it's not that difficult as long as you have a decent-sized image. Okay, now it's your turn. Upload a before and after photo of your own work. Show me what you can do with this technique. Have fun!